Alright, so in this video, I'm just going to give you guys my final thoughts on living in Guayaquil, Ecuador. For some of you guys who are thinking about visiting in the future, or maybe you plan on living here long term because you're planning a trip to Ecuador and you're debating between a couple of cities, and Guayaquil is on that list. So I'm going to try to help you guys out a little bit. For some who don't know, Quito is the capital. However, Guayaquil is the largest and most populated city in the country. So what does that mean? The city is considered the most modern. Some of the best hospitals are located here. You're gonna have a solid nightlife scene, plenty of malls. And also one thing you'll notice is that compared to other Latin cities, you're not gonna see much Spanish influence here as far as the architecture. And from what I heard, and let me know if I'm wrong, after Guayaquil gained independence, the Spanish buildings were burned down from a fire. So I would consider this city relatively new for the most part. It's not like, you know, Quito or possibly Cuenca, where you're gonna have more of that colonial feel. Next up are the people, and it's interesting because you would think that being the largest city in the country, that the people here would be more standoffish and rude, but they're actually very friendly, very hospitable. It might be a coastal thing where people along the coast are usually happier, maybe because it's, you know, the weather, the sunshine, the beaches, maybe something in the seafood. And since we're speaking on seafood, let me move on to that one. Let's move on to cuisine. Now, when you think of Latin cuisines, okay, what the countries that come to mind are usually like Mexico, Peru, and then as for the third one, I don't know, you could throw Brazil in there, but I'm pretty sure Ecuador does not come to mind. And I think if I had to guess, I would say it's because many people don't visit Guayaquil. I wouldn't really consider it a major touristy city. From what I was reading, the majority of foreigners who usually, or at least in the past, who usually came here to Guayaquil was for business because it is a port city, very important one in the country. But many travelers go to, let's say, Quito. All right, I've never been there, but from what I heard, the cuisine there is a little different. It's more of your stereotypical beans and rice. Beans, rice, and like some meat. Whereas in Guayaquil, it's a little different. We're along the coast, so seafood is very popular here. And I must say, I'm not gonna list any other countries, but Ecuadorian ceviche is my favorite. I love the style they have here, where it's like in a soup form. And then they have the green plantains on the side that you crunch in and put into the dish to add some texture to it. And then with the side of rice, you can get that ceviche sauce, pour it over the rice a little bit. Oh man, it's delicious. There's one spot, if you're in Guayaquil, you should try. I consider this more of like the exotic ceviches, like from different parts of the country, and then maybe the restaurant adds their own twist to it. I don't know. I went to this place, it's called what is it called? La Cevicheria Gayaca or something like that. And what you're seeing right now is shrimp ceviche, right? And then that brown like blob, I think it's peanut paste. Okay, so you mix it in, and then you got the green avocado in there, but you mix in the paste, and then it has sort of this lime peanutty flavor to it, which sounds so weird, but it's very, very delicious. All right, and then in this picture, what you see, the red sauce is ají, I think, which is spicy. In front of it is that pink sauce. That's not Raisin Cane sauce, or it's not like the typical mayonnaise and ketchup that you mix together. I forgot what it's called. That's a spicy peanut sauce. And so you take the fried green plantains, you dip it in the peanut sauce. Oh man, this dish is it's called ceviche manaba or something like that. I just have to throw that out there. Try this if you're in Guayaquil, if you want something different for your taste buds. You know what I'm saying? You want a little shock to your palate. Guayaquil as a base city it's not that bad. Okay, this city is nicknamed, which it has a couple of nicknames, but one of them is the Gateway to the Pacific. The gateway to the Pacific side of the country where many of the tourist attractions are. So you have Galapagos Islands, which is on the Pacific side, and you can catch direct flights there. You have popular beach towns such as Salinas, which I think is like a 2-hour bus ride. Then you got Manta, which I think is like a 4-hour bus ride. So that's what I did. I would stay in the city during the weekdays, and then on the weekends, I would catch a bus trip to some of their popular beach towns. And so it's a good spot to kind of set up shop and explore the country, which is going to bring me to my next section, which is just about Ecuador in general. Now, one of the disadvantages of Ecuador sort of gives it an advantage, which is a weird paradox. And what I mean by that is the size of the country. Ecuador is small. However, it's considered the country of four worlds. Here you have the Amazon, you have the Andes with the mountains, you have the coast, which is what I'm talking about right now, and then you have the Galapagos Islands. So you can catch a 3-hour bus ride or a 1-hour flight and be in a place with different food, different weather, and different scenery. In addition, this country uses the USD, the US dollar. And so some people assume that when a country uses the currency of the United States that, oh, it must be expensive, which is not always the case. Ecuador is a very affordable place to live, especially if you're coming from, the USA or Canada. And I think that's one of the main reasons that many American and Canadian expats come to this country, because not only does your money go further, but also they use a currency that you're familiar with. Now, just for the record, for anybody who's watching, I'm a person who loves cities. So for me, Guayaquil is fine, but I'm gonna try to take myself out of the equation and kind of speak as the normal, traveling tourist. When it comes to expat areas in Ecuador, I understand why many foreigners may decide to skip this city and head to other places. For example, Cuenca, which is, I've never been there, but from what I hear, it's has a colonial feel to it. So it has a slower paced lifestyle. It's more reserved, it's quieter, and it's great for those looking for that type of atmosphere. Or for example, Manta, which is located further along the coast on the Pacific side. And it's a solid mix of beach town and city. When it comes to Guayaquil, if you're in Ecuador, I would recommend visiting the city. But definitely when it comes to expat or retirement destinations, it wouldn't be high on the list, at least not yet, maybe in the future. But I'm gonna go ahead and end the video right here. I hope you learned a little bit more about this place. I enjoyed my time here, and so I appreciate you guys who are following me along this journey, and I'm gonna go ahead and catch you guys at the next one. Deuces.